impressions. Anybody want to say anything?
I'm going to start off on a very positive note. I will say this year, I've been now to the past 2 sim racing expos. This year, I've seen the highest percentage of women attending and racing as well. That's really cool to see.
Yeah.
And of note, there's a women's arena. I say in the corner, but like
it's not quite in the corner.
It's
It's
not
just
quite
off to
in
the
the
far
corner.
left.
It's off to the far left, but
And it's big.
it's a big space. They have a whole bunch of like low to the ground Formula sim rigs, all reserved for women, and they even today had a competition between a whole bunch of women sim racers. So that's like first and foremost. That's my main highlight. I noticed it yesterday, but today it's definitely not just like I don't know, a bunch of women had nothing to do on a Friday. It's like this is really a trend that we're seeing. It's a lot more women than we've had previously, and that is super cool.
I actually was most enamored by the Italians.
AITH.
Acelith.
AITH.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely a passion project. Everything. I mean, I went and spoke to the gentleman afterwards, and we had our own
Andrea.
little
Andrea.
Excellent. I love him. He's amazing. He questioned me for the better part of half an hour about what I think of what they've brought, what I actually think, where he thinks he should be going, or where I think he should be going, what he thinks, what I think of price points, things like that. Really, really listening intently to what I was saying and taking it on board. That the modular wheel, yeah. So that's a very early 3D printed prototype.
Yeah.
Mad.
Yeah.
Like the quality of the 3D printing was crazy. But he was talking about different compounds and things like that he was going to use. And I expressed my opinions, and we batted back and forth, and we had a proper engineer's conversation. And
what a geek out!
I did also, when we went back, you know how I said about how I think it might fit on the SimMagic button base? I went back once I got my stick. I said, have you gone and looked? And he said, no, we've not had any time. I said, okay, so there's no one around at the moment. Do you want to? He was like, yes, let's go. So we grabbed on the wheels, went over to the SimMagic, put the wheel across on top, and the lady that I spoke to on Friday came up and said, hey, you're back. I then explained like who AITH were, what they were doing there, what I thought could happen. She said, do you have an Allen key? So, somewhere out floating on the internet, in a cloud computer somewhere, are 2 pictures of an AITH wheel on a SimMagic wheelbase.
Nice.
And not only do I have them added as a friend on Discord for future conversations, Andrea has said that he's going to message us in a while about other developments that he's got going on.
And as his girlfriend said, he's got an idea per month. So,
I mean, that's fairly paced compared to what we have.
Yeah. On the other hand, we have 10 ideas per day.
Yes.
9 of them nuts.
9 of them are nuts, and all of them would work if we were a hive mind. Otherwise, they don't. But I love and Logitech as well. Logitech as well was a massive highlight. Richard, who is the head of product development, based in the UK, literally just down the road from me, and has so much passion for the Logitech brand. Has a history in Sims, both in sim racing and in
Flying.
yeah. And knows his stuff. And we were batting backwards and forwards on several things, both at the Expo and historically, and just everything to do with Logitech, basically. And as someone who's used Logitech hardware since they were, well, if we include the Mad Cats, because that's part of Logitech now, 8 years old. I'm kind of engaged with Logitech, and being able to speak frankly to someone was a breathtaking experience. And you only get that on the shop floor here. You only get that on the show floor.
Yeah.
That's the only place that you get to mingle with people who are actually in charge of stuff and can make things happen.
The CEO of AITH
Oh.
Sim Racing is here talking to people, not just huddled somewhere looking at sites. And CEOs and all the bosses are here just checking out.
Well, Richard was taken away from our conversation by the product manager for Fanatec. What? Which was most entertaining. But yeah, it was accessibility is the word in one way or another. Accessibility is the word here at SRE, and it's like I said yesterday. You get goosebumps, and then you get butterflies in the stomach, and you're like, "No, this is real. This actually happened." And just the friendliness of everyone is fantastic.
This wasn't a today thing, this was a yesterday thing, but I don't think that we covered it in our day one first impressions. You mentioned accessibility is kind of the word of Sim Racing Expo. 3D Wrap, with their accessible throttle and brake system. If you are paralyzed, if you do not have use of your legs, 3D Wrap has a sim racing solution for you that's very similar to what they have for disabled real-life drivers, such as Alex Zanardi, where they have a throttle and brake that's hand-applicated. And I think that is super cool. To be a product that exists on the market, that's incredible. And the fact, did they mention that it was like customizable?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So like
up to a point, but yes.
Yes, they're individualized when you order one. Yeah. So they can work with your
hand
needs. Yeah, your specific needs, that's incredible. Like, find me another industry that like does that to such a degree that's as niche and specialized as like sim racing is. That's super cool.
Gaming in general. Like, you've got the accessible controllers from Microsoft and Logitech and places like that.
Right, but those are broad
outside
solutions.
of gaming, yeah. But outside of gaming, I would agree with you. Outside of gaming in general, I would totally agree with you.
But even still, like I know the Xbox adaptive controller, which is super cool. But there's also only one of those, and if it works for you, it works for you. But if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, you know.
The old one was expandable, and you could wire your own switches in.
Okay, that I didn't know, but that's a different topic. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just the fact that a product like that can exist and can be supported, and
it's not something new from this year. 3D Wrap have it already in the second or third year, if I remember correctly.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, to see it here on display in context of everything that's going on outside of you know, just their booth here, it's really cool to see still on display. You know?
And again, like while there was like around the 25% of women, there was about 10% in wheelchairs. There was a number of people who were wheelchair bound that were at 3D Wrap, and 3D Wrap, bless them, the SRE gave them the best spot in the house for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right
at the beginning.
Right at the entrance, so you don't need to wheel all the way to the corner. Now imagine, again, coming back to your point, imagine any other trade show, any other show in general where the accessibility or the accessible developments are front and center.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah.
By the way, there were a similar number of wheelchair-bound people last year too.
Yeah. So I was going to say last year is a blur. So as this year is at the moment. The shop floor was absolutely packed constantly. Great to see, obviously. The contrary to what the doomsayers are saying, and in line with what our metrics are saying, sim racing is growing still.
Oh yeah.
It may have slowed. It's not exponential like it was during lockdown, but it's growing. It's doing that. It's doing that predictable. You're the
Slow
man
down.
who knows these
Slow
numbers.
down. Yeah. So it's not growing as you said, it's not an exponential growth, but it's still growing. The numbers compared to last year are bigger.
It's
But
steady and
exactly.
I was walking by the main stage, which you could see the live stream of on the official Sim Racing Expo channels, and they were doing a panel as I was walking by, and the big question that I saw, I'm sure they asked other questions, but the big question that I saw was, is this the golden age of sim racing? Which is a very similar topic to what we've
that
talked about.
sounds familiar. Haven't we asked that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we in here? Yeah. Are we not to pat our own backs, but didn't we ask this a year ago?
Look at us, trendsetters. But our question or not, it was definitely really cool because center stage was Jan Mardenborough. Uh-huh.
I would have loved to have met him.
Uh, who is just, I mean, amazing. I will let his record speak for himself, but if you have seen the movie Gran Turismo, the 2023 film Gran Turismo, that guy.
The Fanatec production placement house?
Yeah. And for what it's worth,
Great movie, by the way.
the film doesn't hold a candle to his actual life. Like his actual life is so much more dramatic, and hearing it from his own mouth is far better than the film.
Yeah, but that guy was here. Yeah, super cool, super cool. So we have women, Italians. What's your favorite? Italian.
I had to highlight this day, this second day. First of all was Catalan company Sim Racing Pro,
SRP.
Simlab.
who have
We'll get there. We'll get there.
who have an excellent set of pedals. They are pneumatic. And did you drive? Did you drive those? But you have driven those, and we were talking about them. For in my experience, they have the finest braking pedal I've ever driven. I consider it better than the Simocube, better than the Heusinkfelds, of course, better than the ImSims because that one is pneumatic and so on. And I was able to brake even in stupid situations I got myself in very finely. I am very interested in that product, and I think and it's got a great price for a hydraulic pneumatic. It's gas and not
What was the
hydraulic.
price?
€900 for a set of pedals.
Oi. Hang on, so that's two pedal.
I think three.
Three.
I think three. All
pedal.
three.
That's
And this is for a very high
extraordinary.
quality pedal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's engineered.
That's a lot of money in raw numbers, but this thing is aspirational.
Price, quality. There are.
is the active pedal the king of kings, the highest you can get?
Compared to the Sim Racing Pro, no.
Yes, I would agree. I agree. Yeah. I'm not disagreeing. I'm agreeing.
This is a fresh conversation, by the way.
I've driven the pedals from Simocube a couple of times. The
Now that's fascinating.
the high price ones as well as the pros that they have now, and they are good. Don't get me wrong, they are really good. But I found these pedals from Sim Racing Pro better. I was able to drive better, and we know that a lot of the driving, especially the racing, is in the pedals. So I was able to drive better. I was able to modulate my driving better with those pedals. I was, as I said, for me, they are one of the two highlights of the day.
I want to say my piece on the
Sim Racing
SRP
Pro?
pedals.
Yeah.
Because I've never met short travel pedals that I liked. Short travel pedals hate to see me coming. Yeah.
And trail break this.
Right, yeah, yeah. It's like a really hard short travel pedal I do not like because I like to be very precise with my inputs. And for me, here to here, I can be here with a little bit of wiggle room, but here to here, there's not as much wiggle room to be exact. Other people who like short travel pedals, good for you. It's not my thing. Um, these are configurable. They can be short travel or long travel. The way that it was set up on the rig that I tried was about as short travel as they get. And they can get pretty short travel and they can get pretty long travel. They're very adjustable. And I absolutely loved them. Loved them. Yeah, they're fantastic. And similar to Serta, it was like usually whenever I'm testing a new rig at Sim Racing Expo, it takes me a little bit to get warmed up. I was testing the SimRep one, and I went way off at Eau Rouge Radion. You know how it goes. And
Never happened to me.
and anyways, this time around, from the first corner, I felt good, and even still, even if you didn't, as you go around, after 5 push-ins of the pedal, it counts the deepest push-in, and the software makes that 100% brake force. And that's what it communicates to the sim as 100% brake force. So if you have it go from here to here, but it's harder than you're ever going to press to get it down there, so you only ever press it here, well, otherwise you're just not giving it the braking force that you could. But with their software, this becomes the new 100%. This gets ignored because you're never going to push that hard because you never did before. And so it then becomes whatever you were feeling was intuitive becomes what is true. And that was really, really awesome. That's super cool.
Okay, second highlight for me was Simlab. You already were saying, oh, Simlab. And especially, I normally don't geek out on these things, especially the Formula One replica that they had, because it felt right. Like I was holding it in my hands. They only have one clutch paddle, which of course, and the guy from Simlab told us it's not only that it makes more sense to have one, it's that they are only allowed to have one clutch paddle. So
I never understood what
per
the other one
regulations.
was for.
Per regulations, but anyway, and the whole wheel felt right, felt correct, and we know that it's a replica, it's a sim racing version of the Mercedes AMG Formula One wheel, and it felt good, it looked fantastic, and so on. Added to the things that you have said, another thing that belongs to my highlights, and that's something that we already commented yesterday, is that this sim racing expo, people are very open to conversations, very open to talk to us, and we to them. We already had very good communication with a lot of the other YouTubers and so on, but this year was especially good in that.
Oh yeah.
Lawrence has always been a charm with us. This year he was even more of a charm. Gamer Muscle, Jardier we've seen and said hello, but he was occupied with
Traction
his own
guys,
things.
absolute biggest shout out in the world to Traction guys. They've done a fantastic job covering the SRE.
Random call sign. I gotta
And
shout out
Random
my
as well,
boy.
yes, of course.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Although I haven't seen him that much, but yeah,
He was with me trying out SRP pedals.
I know. Not the SRP. I in the B-roll of you driving Assetto Corsa Evo. He talks to you and you're like, yeah, okay. And you two guys talk. It was so funny to see that in the B-roll was okay.
I had
yeah.
no idea. That's hilarious.
Brain doing ACE things.
Yeah, exactly. I was one-track pony.
I think, and I discussed this with Richard at Logitech. He came into SRE with the assumption that no one was out to get them.
Who?
No one was out to get the Richard from Logitech.
Oh.
Now, Logitech, you know, the people that made the G29, the people from the one that made the G Pro, and everyone had all the criticism about the G Pro,
see,
blah 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 blah,
yeah,
etc. He came here with a completely open mind, which I think is the way that manufacturers and people should be coming to SRE. We saw the exact opposite from Thrustmaster, which again, first time I've seen Thrustmaster here in any real presence. Obviously, it's their first product release, but they were extremely touchy. And very, very them and us from what we got.
That was exemplified in their booth design.
Yeah.
So they have
Oh,
walls.
The Thrustmaster booth was more akin to the P1 Sim experience, which was essentially, to all intents and purposes, a cinema. But like, you need the darkness in a cinema.
Exactly.
So like, they had an excuse to have a dirty, great big box. Thrustmaster's trying to showcase their new entry-level wheelbase.
To go in, you had to book an appointment.
There we go.
It was free, but you had to go in and book an appointment. You gotta scan a QR code. You gotta pick a time. You gotta wait for your time, and then you're going in there at the same time as all the other people who booked a time. And so it's such a weird system. Like everyone else, you just walk up and go, "Hey, this is cool,"
and then you sort of form a pub queue.
Yeah, yeah.
You were here before me. You
talk. Yeah, and you talk about this, you talk about that. You point at this, you point at that. Thrustmaster has like a line, and then it curves. It's like the baffles going into the restroom in an airport.
Oh no, it's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. And they've even got the barnyard doors on the exit. The bazaar. Cowboy Western. Yeah.
The saloon.
Saloon, thank you. It has the saloon gates to get out, so you can't even look in from the exit to see these wheelbases.
Coming back to positive things, in line with what we experienced yesterday, there is very good communication. There is a very good vibe going on.
Oh yeah.
Things like, for example, Marco Mazzarutto testing the IMSIM Gara, calling his people and saying, this is fantastic and it's running AC. Can we see to it that they get a copy of AC Evo? And today, the Alma has the AC Evo, which is fantastic. It's part of this communication of this. Oh, that feels good. And for example, that Marco Mazzarutto is going through the places and testing the stuff, and it's like, oh, that feels good. Oh, hey, and things like that. This open. You spoke about openness, communication, this warmth, this welcoming, which fits to women,
disabilities.
Exactly. Like
yeah.
You like racing, I like racing while we are standing still. And that's all that we need. And that is fantastic. And that is something that this year's Sim Racing Expo is showing much more than any other Sim Racing Expo until now. And it's something that I felt also in the Sim Formula Europe last year.
Yeah, it's
The openness, this communication and so on. I don't know where it comes from, if it's from the way exhibitors have been treated, and this year they were treated better and they had better vibes, or I don't know where it comes from.
I have a theory. So the amount of motorsports that are starting to look to sim manufacturers means that the old adage of a rising tide raises all boats is coming into play. And those like SimRep.
Shout out. We're so happy for you guys.
Yes, who are securing massive motorsport contracts.
I mean, Chip Ganassi.
Yeah.
Can you get higher than that?
No, exactly. But I think sim racing manufacturers are seeing the opportunities that are there, not just in sim racing, but in real racing, and how directly, once again, like we've preached a million times to yourselves, sim racing is the closest you can get to, is the only real game that has transferable skills. And that applies in the hardware, it applies in the software, it applies in the people skills. And that's a fair point. Sim Racing Expo, and this is going to be the highest compliment I can give. Sim Racing Expo felt closer to a racetrack paddock this year.
True.
Everyone was in everyone else's, not business, but everyone else was in everyone else's like garages, booths, checking it out, giving feedback, saying, "Oh, this is cool. This is interesting," and there's so much interest in each other. And that
like positive interest. It's not
oh,
that,
absolutely
oh,
no.
let's see what they are doing.
There's no spying here. Let me be clear. There's no spying here. There is genuine engagement and interest in how other people are doing.
I also want to say, to the point of, you know, the real life motorsport contracts and sim racing, you know, NASCAR's had this old saying that's win on Sunday, sell on Monday. And I think we're seeing now it's also becoming more and more true that sim race on Sunday, sell on Monday. Like, we're seeing more and more of those two worlds intertwining. You know.
Speaking of,
I
was chatting to Simlab. They may have an invitation to the Indy 500 next year. Obviously.
Surprise.
Yeah. And they have already been given space to set up.
No surprise here.
That's cool.
I'm so stoked for them.
Talk about win on Sunday and sell on Monday. But the thing is that they're going to be winning on Sunday with Chip Ganassi, conceivably, selling on Monday to all the other IndyCar teams.
Perhaps, yeah.
We don't know how their contract is going.
On the Assetto Corsa Evo front, it was all the testing we did yesterday. We put out our review today, and Traction, our friends over at no.
Props to Serta for getting that edited and uploaded.
Oh, yes.
In challenging circumstances. Jesus Christ.
Yes. Yeah, so props to Traction. I believe this was a Traction exclusive. But Assetto Corsa Evo has confirmed post-pre-alpha mod support. Ooh, indeed.
Post pre-alpha or post early access?
They say post pre-alpha in the Traction article, if I remember off the top of my head correctly.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So I would imagine.
So from June 16th on.
January.
No, because they could still release it in
Oh,
pre-alpha.
that's launch, isn't it?
That's the early access launch.
Yeah,
and doesn't mean that they'll be out of pre-alpha.
You don't. Anyway.
Yes.
We'll see when we see.
But yeah, so that's a small little thing to end it off on. But I know there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who were really looking forward to that announcement. And they also mentioned in that they're planning to work with car manufacturers on the mod support side of things. Cool. Yes. That is a detail that I feel a little bit sideways about. Because a part of me loves that Assetto Corsa itself is kind of a Wild West a little bit. You can read into that however much or as little as you want. But I'll just say I have some complete grids of historic racing stuff that you can't get anywhere else, and they're good.
The thing is that we've had the same issue in R Factor 2 for years. You just name them differently.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. But then give me the UI editing stuff to do it myself. At the individual level.